ideas for new vegetable varieties are emerging every day, all around the world. It all starts with a need, a trend, a new harvesting technique, a changing climate, but also diseases or chain partners' activities. Breeding revolves around continuously improving a variety by crossing new and desired traits into existing varieties. To develop a product with stronger disease resistances, a fuller flavor, a longer shelf life, a different shape or color, and/or a more consistent yield.
Every day involves decisions. How can I make the best use of my people and resources? Which idea should we focus on? Which need and which variety is our top priority? It's impossible to meet every need, and it's impossible to succeed alone. The ultimate challenge is to make the right choices.
Breeding a new variety entails the highly targeted raising and crossing of the right parental plants. One of these plants contains the new desired traits. But each plant has thousands of traits, so gaining an overview of and then utilizing all those characteristics, or genetics, requires great expertise. After all, you can't see a plant's genetics from the outside.
This makes it a complex process and one which requires a lot of patience because it can take years to go from a new idea to a new variety with the desired traits. In fact, sometimes it fails and we have to start all over again.
Because a plant is a natural product, breeding in the new trait can also result in offspring with unintended traits. That's why we do reverse breeding, which is aimed at reverting to the parental line while retaining the new desired trait. The plant is verified against the initial ideas for the new variety each time, and all the data is saved at every step. After all, we need to be able to go one step back in the process if necessary. This spans many generations. On average, it takes 6 to 7 years to breed a new cucumber variety. And although modern technological advancements give us better and faster insights into breeding, precise analysis and human skill are still essential.
Despite it sometimes taking years before a new variety is ready for market launch, breeding is like a top-level team sport. We're constantly working on multiple vegetable varieties at various stages of development. The ability to innovate rapidly and anticipate market growth, which is influenced by numerous factors, is crucial. That's how we've been helping to stimulate vegetable consumption worldwide for almost 100 years.
Good morning, West Africa, and good morning or good afternoon, I have to say, to East Africa. Very welcome to this online training for Habanero. My name is Peter van der Zande. I'm the area manager at Rijk Zwaan for Africa, and I'm not alone in the studio. Next to me, Harold Peters, chain manager, also focused on digital, really an entrepreneur for Rijk Zwaan in Africa, also living in Tanzania, in Arusha. And next to Harold, we have Eugene, our Habanero expert.
Thank you.
Welcome in the studio. Very happy to have you here, both. We will today organize the course for all of you about Habanero. We will discuss, especially Eugene, will tell us more about the viral disease pressure in Habanero, which can really affect your product. And Harold will also explain us the business case for habanero, for you as grower, what it will entail, and how to become a successful grower. All will take approx 1.5 hours max. Before we go to the lecture, I would say, yeah, let's briefly discuss also our varieties. We are breeding in Tanzania, in Africa, for Africa. We have a dedicated habanero breeding program. Also here in the studio, you see some nice fruits. This one, for example, maybe Eugene, you can tell us a little bit more about the varieties we have at this moment.
Thank you very much, Peter, for this introduction. My name is Eugene Agbikodo, from Benin Republic, next to Nigeria. My fellow Nigerian online from Ghana, all the West Africa. I really represent you here, and I'm very happy to talk to you from here. As Zwaan, we had a very nice assortment. We have 3 red varieties, Afaja, Lengai, and Mawenzili. But we have also yellow variety, you all know, called Loleza. And as you can see, Loleza as a yellow, let me start from there. Generally, all our 4 commercial varieties have a very unique selling point, which is the shelf life. Thick flesh, any of our varieties can stay longer when you harvest until you sell, even the market. Very unique. The second point that I want to point out about all these 4 varieties is also about the yield. In average, we have about 3.5 kilograms per plant in each of them. So we had very unique point. Let me start with Afaja. Afaja is very, as you can see, gloomy, beautiful, heavy, up to 20 grams per fruit, followed by Lengai. Lengai is also a very heavy one. And in the red segment, we have a new one, which is Mawenzili. And very shortly, you will see a nice video that I did with Mawenzili to show the very important point of Mawenzili. So please, the video, I think you can see and you will learn a bit more about additional characteristics of Mawenzili. Thank you very much for following. My name is Eugene Agbikodo, crop coordinator for African hot pepper. It's a very much pleasure for me to introduce you our new variety, 93 AR011. What is new about this variety is the plant type. The plant type is very vigorous, as you can see, very vigorous plant. Continuity, look at the top, up to the top, continuity from bottom to the top is really interesting. The other thing is, if you look at the fruit setting, continuity is very, very important. And compare with, you know already Afaja, and you know already Lengai on the other side. When I look at also on the fruit now, look at, we are talking about light green fruit in comparison with green, a bit of dark green fruit, compared with also Lengai, which is, so this is new material we bring into the field, to the market. What new again about this variety is the standability. You know that in the extreme condition of production of African hot pepper, one of the most important things is the continuity in a very extreme temperature. Extreme temperature, either low or high, habanero tend to drop fruit or flowers. In this case, we have a very good stability and continuity. Again, if you have crop is out of balance, either fertilizer, more water, by mistake or irrigation, this plant is also very stable. Okay, now let's talk about the fruit. If I take the fruit of our new material AR011, flesh thickness is very, very harder than Lengai, at least we know that one, and better aroma. Pungency is very strong, it's very high, good aroma. So this is a very new material. On top of that, we have resistance to thrips. Good level of resistance to thrips. When we come to this, look at the continuity up to the top, leaves well developed. And then this adds very much to the yield. We have a very much stronger yield than both Lengai and Afaja in the red segment of our assortment. The fruit is quite big, is in average 15 to 17 grams per fruit. At least you can get from this new variety 4 kilo per plant. In general, in conclusion, we have a good plant for field stability. We have also good fruit for market, fresh. One important thing is when you have a light green fruit, it means high pungency, good aroma. This is what we bring to the market now. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes, very clear video. Eugene explaining very well about Mawenzili. In the video, even the production code was mentioned. It is still a very new variety, but we can say, like also the other 3 varieties, they are all commercially available through our local partners in your country. So happy to share that with all of you. More about our local partners later on. We also like to give you a nice example of, in this case, a grower in Tanzania. I have to look, Mr. Kambarali in Tanzania, who is working with our habanero varieties, and he likes to share his experience with us. Let's have a look.
Hello, I'm Kambarali Ladha, founder of Farmlands. We operate in Arusha, northern part of Tanzania, in Kisongo. We are occupying and operating on a 1.5 acre plot, a block which is occupied by the low laser hybrid habaneros from Rijk, Zwaan. It all started with a passion of consuming fresh veggies from my own farm. It gave me such a good feeling that we decided to grow more into this now as a business. We started, looking for the right quality seeds, and that's where Rijk, Zwaan came in with their distributors, Holland, Greentech. We've tried a couple of varieties. They perform very well. They haven't ever let me down in my productivity. And I'll tell you something about the support. It's never a challenge to get hold of them. Whether it's remotely, they would be available on phone calls. They would assist you even if it's to come and do a site visit. Even though they would guide me towards the current markets in terms of, international markets, be it local markets, very helpful in that way. So that gave me a bit of a comfort in leading this business further. We have Loleza in our farm, which is the yellow habaneros. They perform really well, and from the point that we transplanted them during September, during the long extended dry season, and until the end of December, early rains arrived, we are now at the stage of harvesting. As you can see, the status of the plants and the fruits at the moment are really performing well. The quality matters a lot to us. You can see the appearance, the color itself, shiny look, giving a very good attraction towards a customer who wants to have it. It also has a very good shelf life, which is very important for our customers because it takes transportation from point A to point B and from there to the vendors who will be distributing to the final consumers. So shelf life is amazing, and we have literally tested in normal storage, normal cool room temperatures, and I'll tell you with confidence they have lasted a week without any problem, and they would just look as if they were harvested yesterday. We also tried to check our product quality in terms of the weight, and it was surprising enough that the ripe fruits weighed in an average of 250 to 350 grams per plant. Those are ripe fruits. And we tried to now pluck the the green, still unripe fruits, which weighed a total of, including the ripe ones, up to 2.2 to 3.5 kilos per plant. The market is vigorously growing at the moment. We do sell our products to the international markets as well as the local markets, inbound markets. That is consisting of the European market for exports from Tanzania as well as exports to Kenya. But I'll tell you one thing, sometimes the local market appreciates and fluctuates in such a way that it would, please you much better than the export markets. The farm gate price would be as good as 1,700 Tanzanian shillings per kilo, up to 3,500 per kilo sometimes. That is approximately $0.7 up to $1.2 to $1.5 a kilo. So it is a good business, it is a profitable one. The clients have been really appreciating the quality of product. And I'll tell you, I even tried a few people, especially my father himself, to help me test it because I don't use chilies, and he helped me try, and I was assured that these chilies are really spicy and hot.
Yes, very successful grower and also a very happy grower, and you can be as successful as this grower is, and this lecture will help you with that. Before I go to Eugene, important to mention any questions. We are very welcome to answer them. Please put your answer or your question in the chat. I think it's on the right side of the video in YouTube, and we will go through it also at the end, and maybe also in between the story of both Eugene and Harold. I give the floor to you, Eugene.
Thank you very much, Peter. I'm also very happy to take you through this training, managing viral disease pressure on African hot pepper production. And if you are grower at all, you know that the viruses are the major issue we have on African hot pepper. And I'll take you through this, give you a little bit background about African hot pepper, call it Habanero. What is the objective of this training? What are the major objectives of this training? We're going to give a little bit of review on good cultivation practices about African hot pepper. And what are the most prevalent diseases, viral diseases on African hot pepper? I will talk about that, and this is where I'm going to really emphasize to let you know what are the difficult situations you have and how to handle them. I will talk about the integrated pest management, and I will come to the conclusion, and after the conclusion, my colleague Harold will take you through the business case of Lengai. And as you know, Habanero is is native to Central America. It's not from Africa, although we call it African hot pepper. It's a lowland crop, however. But when the temperature is extreme, you can see that there is you lose a lot of flower, then you yield. But Habanero although it's adapted to the warm condition, however, compared with chili, compared with the bird eye production of Habanero is much more sensitive to insects such as thrips and virus transmitted aphid. Okay, this is where we want to focus on. And therefore, the production of Habanero requires more extra precaution in order to maximize the yield. If you really want to have the yield, we are talking about potential of the yield. We are talking about 2.5, that's in the worst scenario, 3.5 5 kilo per plant in open field. Then you have to take into account this training It will help you for maximizing your yield. But look at it now, I put a bit of economic incentive. You see, it's a very, very important crop, especially in West Africa. If you grow habanero in a high peak period, you will get it a kilo of $3, even up to $5 or euro per kilogram of fruit. So it's a very, very important crop. You all know I'm not teaching you anything. I know I have online professional growers who are making really business out of habanero, our varieties. Look at it now. Why some growers are very successful and why some are not successful? What are the reasons? This is one of the major things we want to learn in this training. The second thing is to know what are the viruses, challenges in African hot pepper and how to manage them efficiently to maximize the yield. But before that, let me take you through very basic how to raise healthy and vigorous seedling. Very important. Look at it now. If you look at the germination, look at it now, beautiful, uniform. You can see very uniform plant in a tray, in the nursery. But look at it, how healthy this plant is. But the before you get a good germination, this is the wrong one, you put it in the right position. If you put it too deep or even at the bottom of the tray, you're not going to get germinate. So this is the very one that you have to do. Okay, it's good to start with the clean seed. I will explain why. From Zwaan, raising seedling in a protected environment, protected area, is good to build up. If you don't have a sophisticated nursery, but you can also build with plastic on top to prevent rain to come directly on your seedling. But also you can put a net surrounding. And most of the time, if you want to go to the nursery, please take care of that you don't come from the field and interfere with the nursery, because these plants are very fragile. They are still young, still fresh. So take care of the sanitary, cleaning your hand. Make sure that you have a nice seedling which is intact. The root system is also good, as you can see in this one. Production, I would say that is about 50% depending on the seedling you have. If you have a very vigorous seedling to start with, you are already succeed your production about 50%, I would say. Just an estimation, but I'm pretty sure that it's good for you to start with. Nice seedling. Nice seedling means what? You have to have a good media, not a very heavy clay soil, and to start with in the nursery. You have to have a very recommended media. Make sure that the media is soaked, and when you squeeze it, the water comes out of it, because the seed from the dormancy have to break it. So you need to absorb a lot of water. So make sure that you have this one. Now you prepare the media very well. Make a hold, as I already show you, with fingers, but also some board. Some people are more professionalized, and then they can make it very nice. Okay, then if you dip too much, you know your seed is not going to germinate. The other thing is it's good to cover it, to maintain the humidity level. That plays a big role, that you have a uniform. If, for instance, you water it, and the edge of the tray is not having enough water, then you are in trouble. Sometimes you have a big plant, a small plant. It affects your yield, even from that level already. So it's very important to take care of these small, small details, which together can contribute to a good yield. Start with the good germination, but let me tell you that the germination of habanero takes longer than tomato. It goes up to 8-9 days. Don't be afraid. If you don't see it 3 days, 4 days, doesn't mean anything. Keep quiet. Be patient. You will see it coming. So this is typical about habanero. And also transplanting depending on the season. If you are in the cold season, it takes a little bit longer. Or on a high mountain, a high elevation in East Africa, it takes a little bit longer. But in West Africa, already, after 4 weeks, you have a very robust, nice seedling to transplant in the field. Definitely, field preparation is very important. You have to loosen the soil. Make sure that, because habanero does not have a heavy clay soil, rather they prefer sandy to loamy soil. Okay? So field preparation is a key to successful production of habanero. Raise the bed, don't just throw the plant in the soil, raise the bed a bit, bring a bit of manure. It will help to loosen the soil for the root system penetration. Is nice also. And also drip irrigation, we recommend it. And plastic mulch. Why plastic mulch? It's very important. I will show it later. For thrips management, you know, thrips lay the egg. When they touch the plastic, they're going to burn out. Then you break the cycle of thrips also. So it's very important. And look at it now. This is a proposal. Each farmer has his own. We propose here, for instance, for you to have about 15,000 to 20,000 plants per hectare. And this is, for instance, a way to do it. 1 meter better wide, and then within bed, you can have 50 and 200. Then you are going to have a very, you know, it's not too tight, but you can already have a time to circulate, to go around your plant, to make them even much comfortable to bear the fruit capacity. And also look at it now. We also, because we know our crop are very heavy, they can produce a lot. And then in some cases, you need to really, if you grow it big, you need to put rub around. It's not a very expensive thing. You can put the iron and put the rub to tie the plant so that they will not fall to either side of the bed. Then you maximize, you keep on harvesting clean, nice fruit for the market. So I think this is a little bit of resume. It's not, the cropping system is not the topic of today, but I think it was very interesting to let you know. Let's go a little bit deeper into the subject of today. Some grower has a very low density due to the seedling even already. If you start with the seedling, weak seedling, you see a lot of empty space in this production. You see a lot of empty space, a lot of empty space. If you go further in the field, I've been to this field, you can see a lot of empty spaces. Look at this guy, Holland Greentech Benin guy, Aziz, is now working with the grower. The grower is happy, but for me, I'm half happy because he can do even more. Look at where they are. There are a lot of empty spaces here. So surrounding, he's happy because he has seen a big fruit. He's already happy, but he can maximize the yield even there. Then the nursery play a big role. If you start with the nursery, all the plants are robust, giant. They can survive in the field. So I think this is very important for you to know, okay?
May I interrupt you, Jim?
Yes.
Because there are already interesting questions.
Yeah.
I see in the chat. Thank you for that. Very, very helpful. And we will go through it. I will mention them.
Okay.
First of all, is it tolerate to drought, the habanero in the field? Yeah,
Habanero is quite robust when it comes to, of course, tolerance is already a proportion of it. But I would say that habanero is more robust, it's standing still, can really, let me tell you the mechanism generally. When habanero is under stress, it closes the stomata of the leaf to lower the evaporation. So this is really specific about habanero. But of course, you have, if you don't water your plant for the coming 1 week or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, then you are looking for trouble. But at least habanero is good. It's even much better than tomato when it comes to water management. Yeah.
So it's good to know that it is a very strong crop, but of course it needs some water, like
Exactly.
every plant
Exactly.
and human being.
Yes.
Okay, other question, also a good one. What would you recommend for pruning in Mawenzili? Would you recommend to do pruning?
Yes, we recommend pruning when it comes to the, let's say, in a greenhouse production, because all our 4 varieties are good for production on the greenhouse. And then the
Only greenhouse
only greenhouse
or open field?
greenhouse more if you prune because it's going to be a really giant, but in a field, open field you can prune also, but depend on the nutrition. If you really have a very balanced production, you can take out few, especially the side branch, to let it circulate. And then from the bottom, of course, you can remove the lower leaf, as you can see in the picture here. That helps for the production. But generally, when it comes to a certain level, just let you collect more fruit, but put the rub instead of pruning to the high level. I don't know if Harold would say it differently.
Yeah, no, it's, I would also say so. In a greenhouse, the crop is going to be much higher, much taller. So you want to create a bit of air circulation in the bottom, and that's why you take a few of the lower branches out,
Yes.
the ones that are really on the bottom, close to the soil.
Yeah.
And in the open field,
Just let it go.
Just like
you let it go.
You let it go, you harvest a lot, yeah.
And they are, just to be sure, they are suitable for both open field and indoor, right?
Yes. Our variety are both suitable for open field and indoor. Even indoor is, you can maximize the yield. You go, yeah, please, Harold,
Yeah,
go.
indoor it's just protected, so the plant is less stressed by insect attack and other climatic conditions because you create a microclimate. Plus, there are in some cases when you need to export to Europe, for instance, are some cases that you need to grow in protected cultivation because of certain insect pressures and insect attacks that is not tolerated, or the eggs are not tolerated in the European market.
Okay, very good. There was also a question about the nursery. This person only has a roof, but not a real greenhouse for the nursery. Is that a problem?
Thank you very much for that question. It's a big problem because let me tell you, there are two things, thrips and broad mite, depending on which country you are. If a broad mite or thrips attack your seedling, because the side wall is open, so you protect it on the roof to prevent the water coming, one step, but make effort to also fence it with the net proof, insect proof net. It helps you to have a very healthy, and you will see the top of the plant is growing nicely. The top leaves are very beautiful. Then I think you definitely succeed, already before transplanting. So I would recommend that they have to fence side. The side wall also need to be proof, insect proof net.
If I can add to that, it's good to keep, if it is indeed completely closed with insect netting, to keep the nursery clean. Because anytime you have an infection and you take seedlings out to the field, you basically infect your field. So in the nursery, there should be zero tolerance for any insect. So put out the roller traps, monitor, and whenever it is getting out of hand, react and do something.
Very clear,
Yeah.
very clear.
Yeah.
Thank you. There was also a question about, can this be shared? Is there a crop guide? Yes, there is a crop guide. I would say go to rijkswaanafrica.com where you can download the free crop guides, and we will put also the link in the chat so that you can find it after, of course, this training. Back to you, Eugene.
Thank you very much, Peter. I think this is one of the points that I want to emphasize on. I've been traveling this year, even from last year, in many countries in West Africa or East Africa. What you generally see is you see some big plant, nice, tall plant, but beside just look at these two small plants, and if you go through 1 acre field, or even this was more than 2 acres in Benin, of course it's not our varieties, I just inspect different fields to see what is happening. You will see some stunted plant, very small. I've seen it also in Ghana, a lot, recently. What is the reason of this? And I know that many people ask me questions. Eugene, is it genetics? Why we have a lot of stunted plant? And I say, yes, we know. And then we know how it's viroid. Viroid are not viruses, but they can affect the plant. The viroid are small living RNA, it's not even a DNA, but it can be very, very dangerous. But it's seed transmission. Most of the time, it's in the seed. That's why we recommend, not that because we are Zwaan, we recommend growers to buy clean seed. Then they can make a good living out of it. If you start a seed like this, look at it. He already lose more than 50% of the field because he has his own seed. But the own seed, he does not have the professionalism to really clean the seed. How to clean it, he doesn't know. So if you start like this, you have a stunted plant and an irregular, vigor size, stunted plant, in some cases more than 20% incidence of viroid, post-viroid we call it. Early diagnostic of it can also help. If you have it in your field, I think most of you who are listening to this, you know that this is real. You have it, but early diagnosis, remove them at early stage, and then to break the cycle, and then really you can be, you can prevent, you can at least manage this kind of viroid pressure. The viroid pressure is so big that we took some responsibility. And we did some survey. As you can see, we sample. This one is a recent sample from, I think this one is from Senegal. We did it also from Côte d'Ivoire, from Ghana. But look at it now. We have a lot of small, tiny RNA on the plant that can really look at it. Positive, different of them. PSTVD, we call it post-viroid. It's not a virus, and most of them in Africa, they are too complex. PSTVD and CEVD. Zwaan has the really good package to diagnostic this. And you will never see this kind of disease, viroid, in our seed. Why? Because we have the level and capacity to make it clean. First of all, production is well controlled of the seed, and now the technical know-how, how to handle it. So, for instance, if you start with a good seed from Zwaan, and the neighbor is sowing some dirty seed, it can also affect your field. So, make sure that this kind of small, stunted plant, no matter how much fertilizer you put, they will never grow bigger. And look at it, there's no fruit on this plant. It's very stunted, it's stopped, and this is, I'm talking about the month of June, we have this result. Taking sample all over Africa, West Africa mainly, and we've seen that you need to really be careful. Look at out of more than half of the sample were contaminated with viroid. So be aware that there is a complexity of viroid, but buy nice seed, but if neighbor contaminate your field, look at it at the beginning and remove the smaller plant. It's better to remove them than leave them, because if the worker touch that small plant and touch the other one plant, they will contaminate the whole field. Instead of doing that, remove it quickly, but preferably start with the clean plant, clean seedling. That will help you a lot to maximize the yield. Another important thing, as you can see, is I put the major pests on African hot pepper in Africa. There are majorly 3 of them: the thrips, the aphid, and the broad mite. But they have different impact on the plant. Look at thrips. Thrips does not transmit, the virus transmitted thrips is not a major thing in African hot pepper. But aphid are the most important. I'm going to talk about it later on. Aphid, they don't have much damage on the plant itself, but few number of aphid can already contaminate the whole field with a different complexity of, we call it aphid transmitted viruses. I will come back to it a little bit earlier on. So the damage is more on thrips, but the viruses transmitted are most of the time the aphid transmitted. Broad mite come when you have a little bit, for instance, in West Africa, during the, from July, August, September, up to October, then you will have a little bit of cooler, up to 20, sometime in some places, 23 of them, even already, you can have broad mite in your field, in your plant. But I will talk about it later on. If you have a broad mite, how to take care of it. Look at it here now. We also, as Zwaan, we did sampling. We did sampling in West Africa. We have already done it several times in East Africa. But look at the result. You will see that we have proteviruses. We also have, but we tried many other viruses like tomato spotted wilt. No, negative. It was not there. Although the field might have a lot of thrips, but does not transmitted the virus due to thrips. And we alpha, mosaic, a lot of things, but most of the positive results come from aphid transmitted viruses. So it's good for you to know that managing aphid is very important. If you miss to manage it, then you are looking for trouble. So aphid are the most important, that we have vector to provoke complex of virus pressure. I put them there, put the viruses, PVMV, PVY, depending when you are East or West Africa, CMV as well. The non-common one are thrips-transmitted TSWV. The polariviruses are more of white begomoviruses, but they are not common in, you find them most of the time in, according to the literature, anyway, you find them more in Southeast Asia. But in Africa, we are not very much exposed to these white flies transmitted viruses in pepper. So it's very important to know that from now on, be careful with aphid. Thrips you can manage with some insect. I will talk about it later on. But look at the symptom, maybe it will help you. If you are a habanero grower at all, you will see that these symptoms are very common. If you see this one, crooked leaves, the leaves cannot be developed well. It's mosaic. I hope you are seeing it very much clearer. If you see it here, for instance, you see you have some island, dark green, and surrounded by yellow spot dot on the plant. Look at this typical plant, no flower coming, nothing is coming. Viruses are very, very dangerous. And most of them, they can affect your yield, but good enough is easy to manage. Definitely is easy to manage. That's why we are here giving this training. Look at this beautiful big plant, but now look at how the plant can become crooked. It's no longer giant plant, 1 or 2 flowers, no fruit at all. What is the result? This one came from, we working together with World Veg in Benin, and we have a lot of infestation. At a certain point, we don't spray, and we want to see what is the effect. You see, nothing coming here. If you have a plant, hybrid, you start well, but this is not a way to go. How to manage it? I'm going to talk about it later on. So this happens very often, few flower, even not at all fruit. You know what I'm talking about. If you don't take good care of it, this is how you end. And now this complex of viruses also affect, look at it, in a wet scenario, especially during the raining period, it can even go to damage the whole fruit. CMV and PVY alone, you cannot bring this one to the market. If you have 1 hectare and you are expecting, you have an order, you cannot deliver anything here. But it's very possible to take care of it. Start with the new seedling and follow the steps. You're going to make it. Let's see this one now. This is, for instance, from Rwanda, all the way from Rwanda. I got this picture from Jacques. Look at it. And this is PVY. It's also aphid-transmitted viruses. But in this case, most of the West African, we don't experience this kind of thing, these viruses. But in East Africa, in the highland, where they grow a lot of potato, you can see potato virus Y is very, very also a problem. And in this case, what you see, you can see some brown dots in some edge of the plant. And if you go closely, if you touch the leaf just falling. The leaves of the start falling by zone. Then it means that you are in face of PVY. Okay? So make sure that you handle it properly. But look at it now, how to deal with broad mite. I make a look at it. In case you have a broad mite, look at here, you can't grow in this one. This top of the plant is choked by the broad mite, you know. But then if you have a broad mite, very easy to manage. Remove the meristem, cut it off, and then you can regenerate a nice side shoot, and then you can make a new one. But then from there on, make sure that you have a good spraying schedule. Okay? Crop protection. This is the most, very, very important. I want you to be more, pay attention to it now. When we are talking about thrips, there's no specific advice to give, but I will give you some really clear way to go. And thrips, aphid and greenhopper, actelic, I'm giving you our experience. You cannot, tracer is also we are not here to promote any company, wherever, but we are giving you practical advice that you can even copy it and try to see if you can find it. But most importantly, maybe I didn't write it down here, if you want to manage very well aphid as the most dangerous, look at one of the ingredients, very important ingredient is imidacloprid. That one, if you have it, you can manage at a very, very good level aphid. Aphid being most dangerous one, transmitting viruses. But also, when you want to manage aphid, let me tell you this. The secret is also anything that has soap or oil. Like, for instance, neem oil, if you alternate, differently with, for instance, spinosad with neem oil, you can very much do a good job. Let me go a little bit further. I can come back. If you want to grow habanero at all, and you are beyond 1 acre, or even more than that, please invest, take a time to invest in this high pressure boom machine. It helps you. For instance, in Nigeria, we tried one time, we were spraying, but the thing was not going. What we do, we just put water in it and put a bit of soap and spray thoroughly with the pressure and clean the plant. And you take away a lot of stress from the plant, and you can already get a very good result with this. Look at it now again. Of course, caterpillar are not the most important one, but spider mite, either the broad mite, abamectin is a very good ingredient. Let me say it again, imidacloprid is very, very important. As you can read there, confidant, these are the most, and these one are not difficult. Either West Africa or East Africa, look at ingredient who has this kind of thing, then you can manage. The most important is to diagnostic in the early stage. Don't let your plant dying before you start putting pressure. Look at it at the early stage. Okay, so in resume, take care of aphid. You don't need to have a big population of aphid before the impact can be big. I think you are following. Take care of that. Okay, some other disease maybe is good to mention. Bacterial spot is due to Xanthomonas. Xanthomonas it creates some leaf spot on the leaf. This is not a big issue. You can manage easily. But the most important also, this one is in the soil, is Phytophthora. You can see some plants start dying, but rotation. Try to rotate much more your field. Then you can take, because you don't build up the inoculum of Phytophthora in your soil. Try to, if you grow tomato here or habanero, don't continue growing tomato, habanero. No, change a bit of the family, then you can already achieve a lot of good things. Okay? I think it's good to take care of this advice. To resume, we recommend spinosad against thrips especially, but imidacloprid is more for aphid. Any ingredient in that, abamectin is more for the spider, and you have a lot of experience. You can also adjust with your own spraying schedule, but take care of it. This don't continue spraying the same chemical. Try to alternate. Okay, so but start with a good seedling. Be careful, especially from the first 1 month after transplanting. Be on top of the plant, go into the field, diagnose it, and then don't keep quiet. And later on, you can relax a bit. When the plant has a lot of power over the environment, at least you are sure you get some yield. Okay, I already talked about this one. I'm getting closer to the conclusion. From the nursery to the crop developmental growth and to the harvest, make sure you start with a nice seedling. This is a good start. Healthy seedling, good scouting, timely and precise spraying. Then you get the yield. This is for instance, I visited a grower. He does not know how to grow at all habanero. That was in Abuja, Kokolada, in Abuja State, a bit more than 50 kilometers away from Abuja. And he had a contract to deliver 20 tons of habanero. He doesn't know how to do it. And we help. With our help in one cycle, look at it, has plenty of fruit harvested. But this is step you have to follow. Then you can maximize the yield. Of course, if you maximize the yield, you have a good income. You are happy, we are happy. Okay? So look at it now again. But if you start good, nice seedling, you can't stop there. If you don't do no scouting, no precaution, you just relax, I can guarantee you end up this way. No fruit, no harvest. That's not what we want for you. We want for you to start it and be careful, take all the steps, and we are sure that you will be laughing, we will be laughing together. In conclusion, let me start saying this. Much better to start with the clean seed. I encourage you also to do so with your neighbor. For instance, last time, the other time I was in Ghana, and with one of the agronomists of Holland Greentech, we visit Volta region, and we're going and say, okay, in one of the fields we've seen a lot of problem with our variety. I say, okay, how does it come this way? Say, no, I don't know, maybe the genetic. I say, it's not the genetic. Let's go around a bit. Not far from there, we see dirty field. Probably the same worker on that field are the same worker in his field. So they bring the problem from there to here. So if you start with the clean seed, make sure that your neighbor also doing the same, that you can all save your production. Worth starting with a healthy seedling, but also that can guarantee already your harvest. When seedlings are ready, make sure that you do the proper scouting, make a precaution, mixture of, different neem oil, for instance, is available all over. Continue scouting by attacking aphid properly with the proper insecticide I advise you, and with some biopesticide, neem oil or soap even, normal soap, but with some power to clean the plant as early as possible, especially for the first couple of weeks after transplanting. You can already, keep the crop protected and ready for the eventual harvest. So I thank you very much for listening. I hope that you get a lot of insight, because in one presentation we cannot say everything, but at least I think we gave you the resume of what you need to do. Thank you very much for listening. Peter, back to you.
Thank you, Eugene.
Yeah.
Thank you. Very, very useful. Some questions came in the chat again.
Yeah.
One of the questions, do you have a resistant variety? Well, if you have, then this all was not needed. But maybe you can tell a little bit more what we are doing also in breeding.
Definitely. Thank you very much. As Zwaan, we had a very R&D, research and development expertise. So we are going to the next step, but it's some time to come in the future. But for the time being, this one, I can tell you already, when we take about Loleza and Mawenziri, all of them are resistant, but those ones, for instance, on trips, they are very powerful already, very robust. And if you look at Afaja, even if you might have a Santomonas, when 1 or 2 rain come, the plant can bounce back again. Most of the growers in Nigeria or Ghana or Benin, they know what I'm talking about. So it's very, very important for you to really take care of the plant. The resistance are coming. What are we preparing? We are preparing resistance for all aphid-transmitted viruses. The program is on. It's a breeding. It takes time, but one time we will come in the market. I can't say in the coming 5 years. It's longer project. Yeah. So, but definitely you're going to get them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to you, Peter.
Good to know that the varieties we already have available commercially in all African countries, that they are already very strong.
Very strong.
And of course, as Rijk Zwaan breeding company, we are developing and improving even.
Yeah.
So more to come.
Yeah.
These are already very strong.
Yeah.
Good to know. There was a good comment also from Wedi Farms.
Okay.
They said, we actually need a forum to share best practices with each other. So a forum with all habanero growers together. And I really like the idea. So that's really something we can think of.
Yeah. I agree with you, Peter. I think it would be something nice, a good idea. Then we can throw idea, technical support, yeah.
Very good,
Yeah.
very good. And I know our partners in the countries, our local representatives, they also have already created communities, brought growers together to share those best practices. So yeah, I also saw a question, are seedlings, for example, available in Ghana? Please contact our distributor, our partner in Ghana, Holland Greentech Ghana, and they can definitely help you further with that. They know exactly where everything is available, and of course the seeds are also available through them. And the same applies for all the other African countries. Please contact our local partner, and we are there for you to help with the seeds and the services. Thank you, Eugene, again.
Thank you very much
for this clear presentation.
Yeah.
Definitely interesting. Crop protection, very important.
Yeah.
Keep the diseases and the insects out of your field.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that is maybe also the bridge. It needs a lot of attention. It needs a lot of effort, and you have to invest a little bit to keep it clean. Is it then still profitable to produce habanero? And I think Harold can tell us much more with the example of the business case for habanero.
Yep. Let me move over here. Good afternoon, Africa. Welcome again. I'm Harold Peters, Business Development Manager for Sub-Saharan Africa. I've done something wrong here.
That went very fast, but please continue. It will be managed.
When one thinks about a business case, we always think Rijk Zwaan caters for professional growers, and when you think about a professional grower, one sees large-scale growers, big greenhouse complexes. Well, I'm going to take you through an example of a smallholder grower who I think professionalizing or professionalism is a mindset, and she will prove, or she has proven, that it is indeed a mindset. And with a small field, one can also cater or manage to get good yields and a good income and a livable income from our varieties. To cater for that, we also have the four varieties that we have heard of from colleague Eugene. Now, these seeds are available in the smallest package imaginable, 100 seeds. 100 seeds, I mean, that is really very affordable for smallholder farmers. They have the Rijk Zwaan stamp, and that means that they are following any Rijk Zwaan quality control and quality assurance that we have that goes for any seed of our seeds. So that is one of the things that we have done, is to offer those packages in those seeds in smaller packages and make them hence available for growers. So yeah, it's not only a large-scale grower that can make a business case. You also talk about smallholder farmers. If I show you a business case, it's from this lady, Mrs. Rukia, from Moshi in the higher regions of Tanzania, at around 800-900 meters altitude. I will explain the business case. Don't panic. This is quite a lot of information, what you see here. I have written in the first block up there in the right here the name, because of course we want to keep on communicating with the person, and I have a bit of information about the size of the field, and it is a smallholder grower. 560 square meter was this cycle, was this crop, on a field of 1 acre, which also includes Mama Rukia's house and an orchard, and so it is. We talk here about really a smallholder farmer. With, on that amount of square meters, 1,400 plants. Then I'm going to talk, but I'll take you in detail through those through those figures about the length and the duration of this cycle, about the harvest and the income that it generated, what it tells you about the crop itself, about the plant. And then I also managed to get, by interviewing her, to get some information on what were her expenses and how does that now relate to the income generated. This slide comes back towards the end, so now I will talk about it one by one. So here you see again the basic information: 560 square meters, 1,400 plants. That is quite dense. That is about 2.5 plants per square meter. I assume that was also because Mama Rokia has indeed a small plot and she wanted to make as much use out of it as possible. The other information was that it's from June 2018 to January 2019. That is not the most ideal start. I will explain you why. Because African hot pepper is a plant that likes warmth, and of course also at that altitude it will slow down. And we see that in the time that was needed from sowing, 23rd of April, to transplanting. It took 46 days to do the transplanting. Normally we see a timing of 25 to 30 days is more than enough. Also the first harvest after 3 months and a bit is normally longer, but that is really because the plant was sitting through the cold season in East Africa, highland, and then started producing. The total cycle in the field was 221 days. The 269 is including the sowing time. So in 221 days, the whole cycle was completed. That's the first thing that it tells us. Interesting data. If you plan a new crop, a new cycle, how much time do you need from sowing to transplanting? How much time to your first harvest? And how much time in the field? A plant doesn't have the eternal life. It will die, or it will start becoming older and not productive anymore. So you want to take it out of production. The first raw harvest data that I received was this. So there is a date of harvest, there is a yield in kilograms, and then there is a revenue. This was in T-shillings. I have translated into US dollar to make it more accessible for all over Africa. But you can relate to that and then translate it into local currencies. That is the first result. And what we see is 5 tons harvested. Remember, from 560 square meter, 1,400 plants. And an income of $4,239 US. When I saw that, I was straight away interested because I know the GDP per capita of Tanzania is now 1,100. It's a middle income, lower middle income country. That means that Mama Rokia managed to get 4 times nearly the GDP per capita gross income over a period of 221 days. Is roughly 8 months. So when I do a first analysis, I just looked at the interval of the harvest, and we can see that it's the shortest was 6 days in between harvest and the longest 13. But it's fairly regular. You can see 8, 9, 7, 8, 9, 7 days, which shows how regular and predictable this crop came in. Another thing that you can see here is we calculated the farm gate price, the FGP's farm gate price is what she got at the farm. And that shows a very nice, close to $1, going even over $1, and then declining. So a crop can come in over a long period and the price might change because neighbors are harvesting, or there is other influences. Sometimes the price goes up because there is a Christmas period or feast holidays that whereby people buy more habanero or products. For the meals on the table. So very interesting to see this. When you look at when you plot it in a graph, and we have on the x-axis the days and the harvest days, and then the kilograms harvested, you see a very regular harvest pattern up to a certain moment, and then the plant says it's enough, I'm done, and the harvest declines. That is the kilograms harvested during each and every harvest. And with the top one was, I think it was about 420 kilograms. When I now translate that in how much gram per plant is that, because we knew we had 1,400 plants, what happens then? The graph stays the same, but now we see it in gram. So at this point, 297 grams came from one plant during that week. So that means each and every one of those plants were giving 297 grams. That is interesting to see because you see an enormous predictability. Yeah? For 13 of the 16 harvests, the plant was giving you more than 200 grams per plant every week, every single week, up the income, the harvest was there and the income was there. Yeah? The cumulative, if you graph that, cumulative growth of the yield, it ended up with 3.6 kilograms. You see that the plant, that is the typical curve of a plant that grows older, or a yield that comes in and then grows older and then basically will top off. The plant cannot give more than it was genetically possible in that situation. The other interesting part was the farm gate price. Like I said, by monitoring that, you get a good insight in over this 4 or 5 months, 6 months. You see the price fluctuating, and it is of course, best to know this in advance. Now you can't predict that in advance always, but you know that during like the holidays, like Christmas, New Year, or the holidays of there is a bigger demand for produce, and that is going to push up the price. Then you can try to aim for those days that you then have the best or the biggest part of the harvest coming in.
May I interrupt over here, since you talk about the market? I got a question from Kenya. How is the market?
The market in general for habanero is fairly good. We think we can see it prices from around $1 per kilogram is very nice. Fresh market is very nice. Of course, there is a limit to what fresh market can absorb, but there is also a huge demand for processing. Our habaneros are also perfect for making sauce. There is already 3-4 more examples from West Africa and from East Africa where our habaneros are used in sauces, and that is, of course, they usually tend to give a lower price, but then it's bigger volumes and steady throughout the year.
Okay, very clear. More or less the same question, but then from Ghana. Maybe Eugene, you know Ghana very well.
Yeah.
The question is, what would be the ideal period to start with habanero production?
Yeah, the good period for habanero would be anytime from now, because there are two things. You know, the heavy period habanero production within the heavy rain, we advise the grower to do it protected, at least some shelter to protect. But even if they don't do any protection, it doesn't matter, you can still harvest a lot. But then from now on, habanero like more warm, and then from now on in West Africa and the coastal area there, you will see that the rain are dropping down. This is the time to grow habanero. Then everybody can have a big, of course, big production, but then the price become lower a bit in the market. So the production zone is this time. Yeah.
Any idea about the price at the moment in Ghana?
The price at the moment in Ghana, even from the previous price, is still high. I think when I was there, was in March, it was $3 per kilo in Ghana. And I think it's a really, really good price in that way, yeah. Prices in Ghana is very high now. Even up to the sowing now that is coming will take time before you start harvesting. So I think the price, even in Benin, in Nigeria, all around the coast, the prices are very high this time around, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
very clear. So this is the moment to start actually
Exactly.
producing habaneros.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Back to you, Harold.
Yeah. So when we put all those graphs again on a combined plotting them on a combined graph, we see the following. So the blue line is the farm gate price fluctuating over the year. Then we have the green is the yield, and then in red is the income, and that is the kilograms times the price gives you the red line. Now, very clever from Mama Rukia was that she saw a price increase coming, and she managed to push quite a good yield in that, and that's why you see a very nice income of $459 in 1 week coming in that week. So it is important to keep an eye on what's happening around you, what the market wants, and how to influence that basically. Then again, the cumulative yield. Again, we saw that it's typical for a plant that is aging here, and that is now the total yield. So 5 tons. 5 ton and a bit, 40 kilograms. And of course, you see also that at a certain point, the increase is marginal. That means, yeah, your crop is basically done. The income will still a little bit increase, but it is maybe better to start thinking about the new production. So if we then look at the plant data, what we or the yield, what it learns us, we got per plant 3.6 kilograms with 2.5 plants per square meter. That means we had 9 kilograms per square meter, or if you extrapolate it, of course, be careful with that because this was only on 560 square meter, but a hectare is 10,000. She would have reached 90 tons per hectare. That is hypothetical, but it is not impossible. The cost of the seed was $75, so only 1.7% of the gross income, yeah, of the $4,000 income. Again, the average farm gate price over the whole season was $0.84 per kilogram. A very fair price. She had a very good contact selling the habaneros to a supermarket in the nearby town. If we look now at costs, and again, these costs are with a bit of a caveat. I don't think we have captured everything, but we captured quite a bit. I have also interviewed her and asked her especially about labor costs, because that are usually the biggest costs that are underestimated. And often you go yourself in the field and you don't count it. You should count it as, so I've worked so many hours, that should give me an income. So that is why you see, that is a calculated cost there. And that is usually quite the most. Yeah? There was 19% of the total costs. The second highest is fertilizer. If you combine fungicide and insecticide, then it's actually, the insecticide is the highest, then labor, then the fungicide, and the seeds and the seedlings. So you can see that yes, seeds and seedlings are a cost, but often not the highest. But you need to understand this to be able to budget for your next crop and to have that available. Like what Eugene said, if you are prepared and you know there might be an attack, you scout and there might be an attack coming from an insect, you have your products ready and you can interfere quite quickly. but you need to have a budget for that. So we see that her total cost was $784 for the 560 square meter, and a gross income of 4,239 US. The margin, the gross margin, let me tell you that is a gross margin, was 3,455. That is not profit. There is still a lot of costs that are not incorporated in this. So here we see the total picture again. I have done an extrapolation per hectare. She would have done on a hectare with the same farm gate price, the average farm gate price. She would have gotten $75,000 US. Sounds a tremendous amount of money, but it's possible. But she would also have spent $14,000 US. Now I think 14,000 is also a bit on the high side, because what you get, of course, if you go to higher or larger areas, you get an economies of scale, and you will use your products, your labor much more efficient. Yeah? You can then go even down into calculating it per square meter, your cost per square meter, or your income per square meter, and per square meter per day or per cycle day. Yeah? That gives you all much more insight in what you are exactly doing. So if I can summarize, we were talking here about a smallholder farmer, but like I said, a professional one. She's passionate about what she's doing. She found herself a training that we were also involved in Sevia, Seeds of Expertise for the vegetable industry in Africa, which was a 7-year-long program in collaboration with partners. And she was also in a women's group, supported by another NGO, that was the Japanese JIKA, the Japanese Development Agency. That all brought it together and made her a successful farmer and a successful crop. The picture that I showed you, she had the yellow habanero in her hand, but it was about our lengai. That was already the second year. So when I took the picture, she was already on the next venture with our yellow habanero. So again, this proves that by proper good agricultural practices and the predictability of our seeds, you can grow predictable. You can grow predictable for a retailer, for a market, for a processor, and that is the beauty of our varieties. And about having a hybrid variety which is stable, which is always there, and with good agricultural practices again, will perform. So our varieties are available throughout Africa. The dark green patches are where we have distributors, and our distributors are listed here below. You can always contact us to get the contact information. We have in South Africa, in Tanzania, Egypt, and Morocco our own subsidiaries. And I wish you a lot of success, and you can have fire away with questions now.
Thank you, Harold. Thank you to have this clear picture about what to expect and what can be achieved even on a small plot. It is all about good inputs, good seeds, of course, but also the management is important.
Mindset, yeah.
It's a mindset, as you said very well. Some more questions before we close, because time is going fast. Question from Yang. How many plants per acre?
Yeah, I think we advise to have, in average, 16,000 to 20,000, but people can also go up to even 2.5 plant per square meter, which make it up to 25,000, which is manageable in open field. I think anything 20,000 plant per hectare is workable.
16 to 20,000 is definitely a good figure. It always also depends on your soil, on your layout of your irrigation system, on your skill, and it's actually the skill of the farmer that will determine where is the optimum, because the more dense you go, normally your line goes up for a yield, but then there is a point where there is an equilibrium, and after that, if you plant too dense, your plants start competing with each other, of course. So the top of on the high side would be probably 25,000 per hectare, but a farmer needs to find where is his best figure.
Okay, so actually from 16,000 to 25
24, 22
hectare.
Per
That's
hectare.
important.
Yeah.
in terms of acre, that's about 6,700 per acre till close to 8,000, 10,000 max, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay, very clear.
Yeah.
There was one more question from Prince. We already covered it a little bit about pruning. He said, do you also recommend to work with one stem in the habanero varieties?
No, I think I would not recommend. Even in the greenhouse, we recommend to have at least 2 stems. One stem, because the branches bear a lot of fruit. If you remain with the main stem branch, then you are losing all the yield on the other branch. So I think on the lower side, fine, but when it comes to some level, just let the plant grow and you can harvest. Yeah. I would not recommend one stem. I don't know about.
Well, I'm just looking behind at the picture behind Peter. There you see one stem, but then of course it starts branching out, and that is also done because you get then a better aeration on the bottom. Because if your rows are pretty close to each other, you want a bit of aeration to keep your plants dry after a shower.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think what I'm saying is, from lower you have only one plant, but then let the plant become, big, you know. Yeah, you should keep on harvesting.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
very clear, very clear. Thank you for that. So I think, Prince, you have your answer. Good luck. Coffee also likes to start farming habanero. First time, what size would you recommend?
Yeah, I think for a beginner, I think I won't go more than, let's say, 1,000 square meter or 2,000 max. But don't go beyond 1 acre to start with, because it's quite demanding.
Yep.
If you want to do it properly, start small and then build it up. That's what I would say.
Yep.
Start maximum with 1 acre. Yes.
Yeah, think it through. Know where you're going to sell it, when you're going to sell it. You have seen now that you can really start making planning when your first harvest is coming, when your last harvest is coming, and then have a budget ready, because you know you're going to need to spend, and you need to feed those plants, because they're going to produce you quite a bit of fruits, and that is all taken out of the soil and out of the farm, so that needs to be replenished to keep the balance in your soil.
Yeah.
Very clear. Thank you. Because of time, I think we have to close. There were also some other questions, for example, about nutrition. Also, of course, a very important topic. I think we can talk hours about it already, about nutrition only.
Needs a new.
And for that, of course, also contact our partners. Check the link also in the chat. Rijkswaanafrica.com. There you can find also our crop guide for African hop pepper, aka habanero. With more details about the production, it will guide you through the whole process. That's it for now. We will show you, of course, the slide, and it will stay there for a while with our distributors, our partners, where our seeds are available in your country. Please feel free to contact them, and they can also help you not only with seeds, but also with more information, linkage to market, etc. We are there for you, and also here from the studio in the Netherlands at Rijk Zwaan, we wish you lots of success with Habanero, and thanks for watching. Thanks for joining.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
It was a pleasure to talk to you. Bye-bye. See you next time.
Bye.
Thank you.